Good morning. We appreciate your courtesy. Please be seated and be comfortable. Congratulations, Missouri, on being in the top 10. We look forward to discussing the last remaining question in Unit 1 with you. We'd like to first introduce ourselves, then we want to meet you, and then proceed with the question.
Hello, my name is Tandy McConnell. I'm a professor of history at Columbia College in South Carolina.
Good morning, Missouri. My name is Elon Bludinger. It's my fourth year as a judge on the Nationals, and I live in Washington, D.C., across the river, and I chair the Board of Trustees for the Washington International School.
My name is Sue Leeson. I'm a retired justice of the Oregon Supreme Court and now a federal court mediator for the Federal District Court of Oregon. We would like to meet you.
My name is Jimmy Myers, and I, like the rest of my colleagues, am a senior at Westminster Christian Academy. In the fall, I will be attending Covenant College.
Hi, my name is Molly Anderson, and I will also be attending Covenant College.
Hi, I'm Ashley Seagrave, and I'll be attending Oklahoma State University.
Hi, I'm Michael Scott, and I'll be attending the University of Iowa. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our coach, Mr. Ken Besh.
Congratulations. Unit 1 question today is the first one. Why was the history of the Roman Republic both an example and a warning to America's founding generation? Why do you think the founders chose a republican or representative government rather than other known forms of government? In Federalist 39, Madison argues that it is essential to such a republican government that it be derived from the great body of the society, not from an inconsiderable proportion or favored class of it. Do you agree or disagree, and why? Please begin.
The Roman Republic served as both an example and warning to the founders when forming the American political system. First, the founders used the Roman Republic as an example of the structure of their own government. The Roman Republic was based on a separation of powers and interests. The Senate, consulship, and assembly all held considerable power designed to check and balance each other and provide stability within the republic.
These groups represented all different classes of society, from the wealthy to the commoner. And thus, the very meaning of the word republic, a thing of the people, is fulfilled. The founders drew upon this principle, instituting a representative form of government by which the interests of the people were upheld.
Second, in sharp contrast, the most prevalent warning to the founders was the devolve of the Roman Republic to a dictatorship. The power granted to consuls, known as imperium, gave them complete power to do what they thought was best for the state.
Seeing this, the founders feared excessive executive power, believing that the purpose of history, especially of the Roman Empire, was to prevent tyranny. They attempted to avoid tyranny by instituting a greater balance between the branches of government. This can be seen in the recent retirement of Justice Stevens, as the executive will appoint the next Supreme Court justice, but Senate must ultimately approve of the nominee. This balance of powers is one of the many elements of government the founders retained from the ancient republic.
The founders chose to establish a republican government because it combined features from other known forms of government. First, the founders rejected direct democracy because they feared the ignorance of the common man. Their distaste of direct democracy is prominently displayed through the establishment of the Electoral College.
Instead of election through popular vote, only the wise, educated state delegates' votes counts towards the office of president. As seen in the outcome of the 2000 election, the Electoral College does not always reflect popular opinion, where George W. Bush won the Electoral College vote, but Al Gore actually won more popular votes.
Second, the founders then structured the republic to balance the power of the government and the voice of the people. In a unitary system, a strong central government acts directly on the citizens, as they had recently experienced in Great Britain. In the American system, evidence of a unitary philosophy can be seen most clearly when government acts on the responsibilities given by the Constitution, such as the responsibility of Congress provided in Article 1, Section 8, to lay and collect taxes uniformly throughout the states.
In sharp contrast, a third form of government they looked to was a confederation. The founders first embraced a confederate system in which the states retained ultimate power and delegated this power to the federal government for specific purposes.
Influence of a confederation can be seen in government's first institution, as state conventions were required to ratify the Constitution. In order to balance an efficient federal government yet keep ultimate sovereignty with the citizens, the founders formed a republican government as a hybrid between unitary and confederate systems with democratic ideals.
We agree that a republican government must be derived from the great body of the people. John Marshall said, "The government is emphatically a government of the people. Its powers are granted by them and are to be exercised directly on them and for their benefit."
First, republican government is instituted by the consent of the governed, particularly through voting. American citizens vote for local and national representatives who will advocate their interests.
Second, in a Republican form of government, these representatives exercise their power on their constituents primarily through passing laws. For example, the Missouri legislature recently passed a law banning texting while driving for people aged 21 and under.
Third, it is essential that a Republican government be derived from the great body of people for the benefit of the people. Healthcare is normally an issue left up to the states as one of the police powers laid out by the 10th Amendment. As of now, 20 states plan to sue the government over the healthcare bill because they believe it supersedes their power and authority.
We are now ready for your follow-up questions.
Thank you very much. Michael, I grinned in response to your comment about the law of texting 21 and under. I'm thinking it's anybody over 21 who is incompetent to text.
Yes.
That's probably why it's banned in my state across the board. I wasn't laughing at your observation. We'll start with some follow-up now.
I want to talk about this notion the Founding Fathers had to prevent tyranny, because as we all know, in a Republican form of government, the rulers are supported by the consent of the governed. They receive their power from the consent of the governed. But if you look at the United States today, you have a congresswoman in Minnesota who specifically told her constituents, don't pay federal taxes if they're levied to pay for this national health care reform. And then you have attorney generals, as I think you mentioned, Ashley, in several states that are suing the federal government for overreaching. You know, in my mind, this sounds like tyranny. How do you think the Founding Fathers would view both of these actions? And there are others that have stemmed from healthcare.
They would view these actions as necessary. When we came over to America, we took a stand against the British, and right now we're taking a stand against the government. Our elected officials are taking a stand and voicing their constituents' complaints, and that's key to having a successful, long-standing government.
With respects to the first example you gave, no, that should not be followed through on, because in this country we have the rule of law, and paying taxes is part of the law. So we need to follow the law. And in regards to the second example, the states suing the government, there is procedure that we must go through because we have procedural due process in this country and procedural laws. And I think as long as those are followed, it is okay for this to happen.
I agree with my colleague Ashley. The First Amendment provides for the power of the people, the right of the people to petition for a redress of grievances. And seen through the town hall meetings and also the Tea Party actions that are going on right now, the founders, I think, would have advocated the interests of the people, and also advocated the ways that they're speaking out against the government.